The Gallant Few Rangers podcast is brought to you by Triple H Mortgages, the one-stop shop for all your mortgage and mortgage insurance needs. Contact them today on 01453 887 179 or hello@hhhmortgages.com. You can also find them online at hhhmortgages.com or on their Facebook page. Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few Rangers podcast, the podcast that nearly keeled over waiting on the international break coming to an end. My name is Colin MacDuff and I'm delighted to be back. Even more delighted to introduce my two guests. First of all, Iain McCreadie. Iain, I bet you're the same, bet you're so glad to have Rangers back.
I wish they'd just been international breaks. I hate them. I can't stand international football. Like, the only thing I hope during an international break is no Rangers players get injured. and that's it.
See, this last international break, I was never too bothered about the whole Colts argument, but I was thinking, Christ, if only the Colts were playing, I could even watch him play Clyde on the telly. That'd be better.
Right, like the Colts, it would be like if they had a free Saturday like that. Imagine the crowds these wee clubs are going to get if the Colts are playing and the big team aren't. Like, it's just going to generate so much money for these wee teams.
I know. That's an argument for another day. Second guest today, making his debut in the weekly roundup, Campbell. Graham, you've made a solid first couple of appearances in the old spin-off shows, but how you feeling about being in the big time?
I'd expect to see more of the same in the big time than I have in my debut shows, so that's a hope.
Well, we'll soon see how we go on. Baptism of fire. So, as I said, international break lasted about 12 weeks, and then Premier Sports made an even longer wait by sticking the game on at 6:30 on a Sunday night. Before we get into the game itself, then, Graham, Premier Sports is a tough watch, eh? That's chronic.
It's painful, and I think since on the back of the Cove game, there's been a lot of chat that we're now going to have to suffer an Old Firm game on Premier Sports in a couple of weeks' time. I'm sure nobody's looking forward to that. I guess only saving grace is the punditry of Ali McCoy's yesterday and Shelley Kerr, who's pretty good. But Premier Sports, us as Scottish football fans, having to watch on another platform just to see our cup competitions is chronic. And the faster that's done away with, the better.
It's an absolute farce. You mentioned there about Ali McCoy and Shelley Kerr. They were doing the punditry, but why, when you've got Ali McCoy and Stephen Craigan available for the same match, surely you put Ali McCoy on the commentary and just limit the amount of fucking speech Stephen Craigan has. Is that just me? Like, that's a no-brainer.
Definitely.
Do you not mean Crags? They're not Crags, I believe that he's...
Crags, is that his nickname? Christ, they've given him a fucking nickname, means he's here to stay.
No, definitely. I mean, when you've got McCoy available to you, he's a lot better served than the comms, that's for sure.
He is. So, on to the game itself then. The Rangers kicked off about bedtime last night, and the lineup was John McLaughlin, back four of Nathan Patterson, Connor Golson, Philip Hollander, and Calvin Bassey, Midfield three of Glenn Kamara, Stephen Davis and Scott Arfield, with Jermaine Defoe, Kmart Roof and Scott Wright leading the line. So Iain, knowing what we know now about Simpson and Zungu picking up knocks, was this a fairly predictable lineup?
Yeah, I think we were always going to see a lot of changes. I was maybe surprised to see Davis start since he had been away on international duty as well. But yeah, we were always going to see a lot of changes, and surprised Goldson still never got a rest. Like, he's every game, there's no need for it. I mean, like...
I've got a theory. My theory is he's indestructible.
My theory is he's got something on Gerrard. But yeah, so it's just maybe him playing was the one surprise for me, maybe. any of the people who came in. Gerrard spoke about it earlier in the season about trying to give Goldson a rest at some point, and he's just never done it.
What about Cedric Itten? I was quite surprised to see he was on the bench.
You just took the words straight out of my mouth with Itten. I feel like he must be sitting there like he doesn't know what else he can do to actually just get a start or running games. I do think he's been slightly unfortunate. I would imagine when we bought him, it was in mind with, right, Morelos is going to go, so we would have Itten, Roof, Defoe as a front end. But he's got good link-up play. He's a big guy. He's really good with the ball at his feet. I think he would have been well suited. I mean, you're talking about over a decade ago, but see when we're playing two up front or a ploy where, do you imagine him up front with a Kenny Miller, Nacho Nova or something? He's very good back against the goal, great with the ball at his feet, sharp turn, good lay-off play. And I don't feel like we utilise him enough in terms of switching our play up. Maybe in some of the awkward games where we could play a more direct ball, a more long ball. I do feel for him a bit, but I do get why he was left out. You look at the front three that started, you're like, well, we're going to start Roof. We're trying to kind of get him back to a good fitness level, like, as we have been for a lot of the season, let's face it. But you can see the thinking behind it.
Iain, do you think there's maybe an argument that Itten's going to feature more in the league games than Jermaine Defoe will between now and the rest of the season?
Maybe. I don't know. It's a hard one. I can see them both starting on the bench for every game, to be honest. But I think it's just depending on how the game's going, who generally comes on. I think Itten's probably going to give you more in a tight game, I think, whereas Defoe kind of needs us to definitely be on top. I think it doesn't really, he kind of needs a bit of help. Itten can do a bit on his own, like we see with Morelos as well. So I just can't see any of them starting at all, unless Morelos gets suspended again. I think Itten will probably have a bigger part to play for me because he's definitely here for the longer term.
Yeah, and that's maybe my thinking between, like, when I mentioned, will he play more the rest of the season? Obviously, Defoe's on his way out, at least in terms of Rangers, I think. But this might be a chance for Itten to get a solid run of games, but time will tell, I suppose.
I think we've got to imagine that Morelos is going to start all the games, because I think as fans we've got to accept this summer that we are going to take that different business step as a club, and we're probably going to go down that selling club route. I think everyone's probably aware of that, despite the successful season, despite the fact we're about to enter the Champions League. There is probably a bit of balance in the books to come. Morelos is the number one target for a few teams, probably, I would imagine, you would think. I think there's still an essence in being in the shop window to an extent. Not that I'm sure we'll want to sell them, but you've got to imagine that if we're going to sell a few players this season in the summer, Morelos is going to be one of those, so him being in the bench for any game. And anyway, he's our best player, let's face it. So I think with the invincible season looming as well, we're going to want to start him. So I agree with Iain. I can't see an Itten or Defoe really getting a run in the league. And to be honest, we're going to be playing a full strength team against Celtic. So then after that game, if we were to get through, do you then revert back to a more rotational squad? Be interesting to see what we do.
On the game itself, I think credit to Cove Rangers, the first half or even the first 20 minutes, they came to try and get something from the game. It wasn't a typical 10 men behind the ball you've seen from like a Motherwell or anything. They tried to play about and they were just ultimately outclassed. I think it didn't take long for Rangers to really take control of the game. The scoring opens, first 24 minutes, fantastic strike from Jermaine Defoe. Iain, I'll come back to you. We were just talking about him there. You don't lose class, do you? You really don't.
No, he's still got he's maybe lost physically in terms of speed and stuff like that. The mental side's still there, isn't it? And the ability to finish and score is still there, and I think that could be the furthest he's ever scored from. He's generally not shooting for that far out, is he? but it's what a strike it is. It's perfect right in the far corner. No chance for the goalkeeper.
He said after the game, Iain, that he was a bit anxious about his sharpness. This was a perfect game for him to come back into, wasn't it? No disrespect to Cove Rangers, but he was allowed a bit more time, and I think you seen a bit of a weight lifted when that goal went in for him, I thought.
Yeah, well, we were always going to absolutely dominate the game, so when you're trying to get players up to speed like him and Roof, you're always going to have a lot of the ball, so it's you know they're going to be involved a lot, so they'll get plenty of running in their legs, so it's good to get them in against, like I say, a team that you're absolutely going to dominate the ball.
Yeah. So as soon as the first goal went in, Graham, I thought we really took up a notch and really just took control of the first half. Not that we were ever out with control, but it was just constant dominating, dictating the play. Even off the ball, we were forcing Cove Rangers into so many errors, and it was just constant, and it led to another 3 goals. 2 goals in the space of like 2 minutes for Kmart Roof. That'll do his confidence a world of good. I thought he played quite well yesterday, and it's good to see he's got the whole kicking keepers in the face thing out of his system.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think what you're saying is totally right. Cove Rangers did try and almost this kind of expansive play from the back game in the first half. I guess that was brave. I don't know if Hartley was thinking that in some way that would catch us out. It's certainly more brave than a lot of teams that have came to Ibrox this season. I don't think it was ever going to really be in doubt anyway that we were going to win that game, but in terms of the second half compared to the first, when they did start falling back, I guess they made it harder, but then there was an element of us taking the foot off the gas. But certainly after that Defoe goal, it's always going to be the result going one way anyway. But yeah, it was good to see Roof get on the score sheet. Obviously, right with an assist, he looked phenomenal yesterday. I'm really excited by him. Same with Bassey, to be honest, as well. I thought he was good. You can tell the bulking up, the coaching they're getting, the diets they're on. They're obviously putting on a few kgs, and it's shown. We looked good. We looked sharp. That first half was nice. That's what you'd expect. Scott
Wright, we've spoken about him on here for the last few weeks. Every time he's made a cameo appearance, he's due a start. The absolute war cry on here is he's due a start. He has to play soon. I don't want to take out the posting. It was only Cove Rangers, but I think that yesterday, plus all his cameos, I think we do have a player here, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. He looks, like you were saying there, he does look strong. There was definitely a couple of times where he's managed to push the defender off the ball, and dangerous positions as well. But yeah, he's looking cracking. What I like about him is he's just direct. He'll just go. Won't he? He just gets forward and just wants to be on the attack, which is brilliant. Which we all want to see that, don't we? So he's very positive. For me, when we signed him, I was kind of apprehensive about it. I didn't really think he stood out against us at all. I was never really he never made me sit and go, "Wow, that's we should be signing him." You know, the Aberdeen player that does that is Ferguson for me. Not right. So I'm very surprised at how good he actually is. And I think you were the one who wanted to bring him in January, and I had said leave him at Aberdeen. But I think bringing him in is absolutely proven to be the right route to go, because he's going to have 6 months under his belt. You'll have maybe 15 appearances, and he'll have a good base to build on for next season. And I think what I like about him, what would be brilliant, is if we could get him and Kent going at the same time. I think that would be a tremendous little tandem, because they both can go either way. They both float about. They're both very direct and can beat a man. And so I'd like to see that at some point. They two both in the same team.
No, I do agree with you, Graham. I think there has been times over the last 2 or 3 years where, don't get me wrong, see where the likes of Kent, Hadji and Aribo, they're all 3 very different players, but sometimes we needed 2 Kents. sometimes we did need two wide players to be coming at different angles. So I do think that may be something. Don't get me wrong, Scott Wright's not at the level of Kent. He's not, and he's probably not going to be starting every week. But just this squad's constantly evolving, and it's just another option, which I think next season will be very useful.
Well, this is the thing about our squad just now, and this is what the most exciting part is. We've got so many players that can play in so many different positions, and it all depends on the opposition, all depends on the tactics we're going to deploy. You talk about Aribo, there's games where we might play him in the middle three, looking for him to push forward, busting into the box. You've got Arfield, we all know the job he can do in a front three and in the middle three. He's a solid, dependable player, but I mean, he went through that kind of purple patch last season where he was absolutely phenomenal in that front three. I think the thing with Scott Wright is right now he's still working on improving as a player. That's something that our coaching staff's clearly rubbing off on. You've got guys like Michael Beale, who's clearly a top exceptional coach. You can see he's bulked up in a bit of weight. And as Iain said, pushing a lot of players off the ball yesterday, getting them behind the defence. I guess the way we've played for the last few seasons with that kind of well-known 210s in behind the striker, that might go against them in a sense as well. Whereas, you want that kind of more expansive wide player as well, which is what he's able to bring. So I think the most exciting part for me is we could have a front three that includes Ken, Hadji, Aribo, Arfield, like Wright could be in there. You just don't know. There's so many options. I think that's the best and most exciting part about our squad just now.
I think another good thing about the emergence of Scott Wright is that Brandon Barker can now just get a fuck.
Aye, well, that's... I don't know why. I should always expect a fucking Brandon Barker dig from you, but that did catch me off guard. I know. I find sometimes you just need a player to hate. Iain, last couple of years it was Golson. This year it's Barker. Oh, time will tell who it will be next year, who will get the wrath of McCreadie. So Iain, sticking with you, a player that there's plenty of positivity about right now, Nathan Patterson gets his goal to make it 4-0, just before half time. What I love about this goal, it's that high pressing for Rangers, but Nathan Patterson starts pressing 2 passes before his player gets the ball. So that's the perfect mixture of like vision and bravery as well. And I know it's only against Cove Rangers, but you absolutely love to see the almost Tavernierness, you know what I mean? Like the forward thinking play that Tav's made his own at right back. We've not had that for any other fullback really in the last couple of years other than Tavernier.
Yeah, well, right, so he's the only person that's played there the last couple of years, isn't he?
Don't you forget John Flanagan. No.
Can you say John Flanagan played there? He just kicked people there. Patterson, he's definitely in the same kind of mould as Tav. Maybe not quite as attacking yet, but I think that can come. He's definitely comfortable on the ball. Good pace about him. He looks like he's bulked up as well, a bit, and just seeing him get more confident as well. Like the more game time he's getting, he does seem to be getting more and more confident. And as you say, like that press, he does start well before the ball's anywhere near. Well, it's not even his man. It's well before it's anywhere near the guy at the left back kind of position. He's already on the front foot attacking. So I look forward to watching Patterson for a good few years to come.
There's a few talking points around Patterson. We may as well just cover it off right now. First one, we'll stick to the football just now before we get into politics, but there's been a lot of chat about Patterson getting a call up for Scotland. Iain, I'll ask you first. Is he ready to get called up for Scotland, do you think, in this current Scotland squad?
Best Scottish right back about, in my opinion. No doubt about it. O'Donnell is nowhere near as good as Patterson for me. I don't care that Patterson's only played maybe a dozen games. I just he's better than O'Donnell, isn't he? I don't know who else plays at right back for Scotland. To be honest, I don't really care about Scotland games, and I'm kind of torn whether I actually want Patterson to be called up. Obviously, it's good for his profile if he's an international player, but I'd prefer him just to be playing for Rangers. But I do think he is the best option for Scotland. I don't think there's any better right back right now.
Graham, I get the argument that Stephen O'Donnell now has experience playing at the international level, and I'm clutching at straws here. I do know, but in the object of being biased, I can see maybe why that's an argument. But to say that Nathan Patterson wouldn't be a better backup than Liam fucking Palmer, then am I being too biased here, or what?
Right, come on. First of all, there is no serious argument for Stephen O'Donnell playing at an international level. Steve goes for guys like Declan Gallagher, Andrew Considine. I mean, this isn't an international podcast, but I'm sorry, you look at Steve Clark's options. He could have called in a few young players in that squad. You're talking about Billy Gilmore, even Ryan Gold, mid-20s kind of guy. God, even across City, you've got other players. Nathan Patterson is, without a doubt, the best right-back that Scotland have probably produced by the looks of it. Early doors, of course, but in at least 30 years, like, come on.
Oh, Alan Hutton?
What? I think you'll be better than Alan Hutton. I'm really prepared to go on Nathan Patterson. I think Gerard's bang on the money. Gerard the other day was saying that Patterson is as exciting a player as we've produced. I totally see it. You've got guys like Nathan Patterson, Billy Gilmore. Let's not forget these guys have came through our own rankings, which is great. Murray, oh my God, almost Auchenhowie is doing its part. Finally 10 years on, I guess. But look, there's no doubt Nathan Patterson's one of the best by the looks that we've produced. We talk about his goal. It's amazing to see him at the edge of that box to scoop up that ball. We look at some of the crazy positions we see Tavernier in at the back post throughout the season. He's clearly learning well. Patterson, in my opinion, should absolutely be called up. It's a travesty he's not. But then looking at some of the interviews Gerard's done, I don't know how much he's had in that. He's clearly had conversations with Clark. I don't know if that last squad, if Gerard maybe said, I'm not sure if he's ready or not. But I completely agree that he should be in this squad. He's better than what we've got. Liam fucking Palmer.
What a laugh. So that's all the positives surrounding Nathan Patterson right now. On the other side, Stephen Gerrard was asked about the ban for the COVID-5, but I think it's mainly in relation to Patterson and Bassey. Even though Zagura is a first team player, he's not been expecting to feature too much, and he probably won't feature too much between now and the rest of the season. I don't know where I sit in this. It did catch me off guard when Gerrard said that he thought the ban was too heavy, and that's why they're appealing it, and how confident Gerrard was when he was appealing it. Ian, I don't know, I can't remember who exactly was on the pod, but I know I went in record in the pod saying that I think what Patterson and everybody else did was worse than Jones and Edmondson, where the information I had at the time. I'm still no changing for that. I don't really see I find these guys need to take their medicine and deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do agree that it was, like, while they might not have done worse, what made it worse was that they'd done it after Jones and Edmondson had been caught doing it. So to go and do it for a second time, essentially, like, is just beyond belief. Like, why weren't you just training home, game home? Like, you shouldn't have been putting in for this season at all in jeopardy. Because, like, who knows with the SPFL, man, they could have deducted his 20 points. They're that stupid. Where would we be then? We'd be level with them, with Celtic. But yeah, I feel like they should have just accepted the ban. It was inevitable it was going to happen, and I don't know if it will harm his development that much, because Tav will be vaccinated, so he probably drops out anyway. So it's I don't really see how it harms his development that much, because, like I say, he's probably going to maybe get 1 or 2 more games this season.
Graham, I know you are and it's one of the things I love about you. You are the most blue tinted spec guy ever. Do you have any counter argument to this, that we should be appealing this, or are you on board with it?
No, look, I think they did the crime to the time. They were living by sword, all that kind of jargon. I don't really see how we can complain about it. I'll be honest. It's a kick. It's a kick in the teeth for somebody like Patterson. I think it's even worse because the Euros is coming up, because he could add an elongated run. But let's face it, as Iain's saying, Tav's going to come back. He's going to walk back into the team. Even if it wasn't for this ban, would we have seen Patterson replace Tav for a few games then the end of the season? I don't think so. But he is such a phenomenal prospect. I think that it's actually, genuinely, I think in a more controversial fashion, probably going to aid his development in this. It's got to teach him something in terms of just actually being a human being, in terms of his own mental development.
So Rangers make one change at half-time. Back to the football, that's what we're here to talk about. Iain Hagi comes on for Stephen Davis, and I thought at this point we're going to be playing basically a 4-2-4. But Iain Hagi looked as if he went into a bit of a deeper role, which we've never really seen him. It does tend to be either off the right-hand side, the front three, or in a kind of free role in the number 10. I thought it was interesting that, even, again, caveat with everything we're talking about today, it's Cove Rangers. But I thought it was quite interesting to see that he was kind of in part of the midfield three, and I thought he'd done okay. What do you think?
Yeah, it was kind of like he was like a number 8 rather than number 10. Yeah, so not quite an attacking midfielder, more of a kind of mid-line playmaker. Like, yeah, it was an interesting wee position, because he did drop a wee bit deeper and pick the ball up quite a lot, and I felt he was really effective. Like, I think he's a very intelligent player at just finding that wee bit of space, and it worked for him. It worked really well as well, I think. So that could be an interesting move going forward. If we have him, it's almost like a 4-2-3-1, but he's kind of not part of the 3, not part of the 2. It's a funny kind of little formation if you have him in.
It reminds me of the last season under Walter Smith, how Stephen Davis played. See, the first couple of years where Davis was always mid-right, when he was allowed to come into the centre, it was kind of not quite your Kevin Thompson or Aiton or your Kyle Bartley, but just in front of them, then I was allowed to kind of pick up the ball and start dictating the play.
Yeah, so it was more like, normally it's the one in the middle holding and the left and right going forward, whereas this time it seemed to be the two sitting, well, not so much because it was Cove Rangers, but you'd imagine in future if it was Kamara and Davis would sit almost and Hagi goes, but he's not quite that 10 playing off the striker. He's kind of playing off the midfield rather than off the striker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting wee position to see him play, and something to maybe look at in the future.
Graham, Iain mentioned about Hagi being a very intelligent player, and I don't think in the kind of like the non-visual aspects of the game or the football players, he gets enough credit in terms of mentality. Like, aggression's got a fair bit of aggression. He takes booting all day long and he'll get back up. But I think a bit of determination as well. What I really liked about him being back in the Romanian squad, the last international break, he dropped down to the under-21s. He agreed with the Romanian manager that he would go down in the under-21s because he had poor form for Romania, and it was a chance for him to go play the under-21s, get some form again, and he done really well. Coming back into the Romanian first team, he got an assist in his first game back. So I think that Yanis Hadji, he's definitely got a bit about him in terms of he'll absolutely apply himself. Like you stick him in goals and he'll try his heart out, and I don't think he would moan too much.
Yeah, I think he's certainly one of those kind of promising players. I think there was maybe a few doubters at the start of the season. Why are we spending $3.5 million on him off the back of a loan campaign, whatever? You can see it. I think it's going to be really good business. I could see Hadji, but I'm not saying he's going to be, but you could see Hadji potentially going for mega bucks in a couple of moves' time. If he has Rangers now, he moves to whatever a mid-level club in one of the big 5 leagues, you could see him moving on for mega bucks the move after. He's that kind of really good technical player. With the football we're looking to play just now, he's perfect for that. He is perfect for the football we're trying to play, depending on the game. As I mentioned earlier, the tactics we're deploying, he's a great player to have. And he is somebody that could probably play a bit deeper. I think it was interesting. It was almost like we were playing 2 up top at the end of the game against Cove, with Wright and playing off hitting almost. That was interesting to see. I guess it is nice to see Gerrard looking at different formations and maybe different plans going forward. It's good to see different plans in place from my point of view. Hadji's definitely someone that I would love to see us keep hold of. I think people almost forget his age as well. Some people write him off, but in the same scenario, people are writing off Barisic after the first season or so. Let's give the guy time. I think he could be an absolute phenomenon, I'll be honest. I really do. And I think under our coaching staff, he could very well be.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting just to see him playing in that slightly different position. The rest of the second half, we've covered Scott Wright earlier. I thought him and Patterson were terrific. But more, Scott Wright was really trying to take the game to the second half, but nothing really happened of note other than Morelos being a cheeky wee bastard. How can you not love him? If anybody's not seen this, Morelos was sitting about 6 seats behind Tavernier, Roof and Defoe. Defoe's talking tactics to Roof, and Morelos is just scudding them with bits of paper. Actually taking one of the Rangers backroom staff, David Graham, I think he does communications. He goes up and gives Morelos into trouble for being in telly. Fucking tremendous. So Rangers 4, Cove Rangers 0. Iain, we have been drawn in the next round at home to Celtic. I think there's been a lot of chat about how do you see Rangers seeing out the rest of the season? Can they keep up momentum? But with Celtic being in 2 weeks' time, this is definitely a game they'll have to... I think this game came at the right time, if you get me, because we don't have that time to down tools. Now that we've only got Scottish Cup to play for, you can't turn it off and on. Momentum is something that has to be constant.
Yeah, I do think it, like you say, it does give us that little jolt to say like we'll need to be at our best now. Like we can't turn off. Like we'll need to go and play well against Hibs first, and then we can make their season an absolute disaster by binning them in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup.
It'd be so sweet, wouldn't it? It'd be so sweet. It's, I think everybody's dreams usually beat Celtic in the final for the League Cup and the Scottish Cup, but to have them with nearly a month worth of football playing for nothing, just to fucking ruin it for them, that'd be beautiful.
I genuinely couldn't care if we put them out. I couldn't care if we didn't win it. As long, like just put them out. Like it would, just to end their season, and like as you say, with a month to go with absolutely nothing to play for, would just be brilliant and such an important season for them. They've just absolutely shit the bed.
Graham, Iain mentioned there about before Celtic, we don't want to look too far ahead. We've still got this unbeaten run we're aiming for. Iain mentioned we got Hibs at the weekend. So I think, the lineup for this game, the back five will pick itself. McGregor's going to be in, Barisic, Hilander, Goldson, and I think barring the SFA genuinely being taken over by the Masons, Patterson's appeal won't go through, I don't think. So I think it'll be Balogun right back. Who would your midfield three be for Hibs on Saturday?
I think Hibs, they're always a difficult team to play. They always try and play a fair, decent amount of football. I think I always like to see Arfield in that middle three in a game like this against Hibs. And I think we've got to. I think we'll see Davis and potentially Kamara. But who knows? Generally, I don't know. I think this the whole invincible, the whole unbeaten thing. I don't know. I don't know how much I actually care about it at this point. Yeah, it would be good, but we're not going to eclipse. We're not going to eclipse the points tally Celtic had under Rodgers. They did the whole invincible thing and won all cups. I genuinely think we're at the stage where we shouldn't put too much emphasis on it. We've had an amazing season in the league. For me, I'd like to see a bit of rotation. I really would like to start seeing players getting game time in the league to get to know our league for the coming season. I think that's more important than this potential invincible run part of it. Yeah, it would be nice, but is it going to mean much? I would take the Scottish Cup all day long and fucking lose the remaining games. The Scottish Cup is massive. It's massive. Because if we win the league, we've won 55, but if we go another season without a cup, it's a difficult one. For me, we need to start bringing in some of our squad players, the guys that are there for the future. I know Simpson had a knock. It would be good to start seeing him playing some games coming into the end of the season. Would be really good. Would be good to see Patterson play whatever games he can play until the end of the season, whether that's Scottish Cup or League. It would be good to see McLaughlin get a couple of games in goal. He started the season really well. And again, it would be good to see somebody like Hitton. I do think it's important with these league games we don't focus as much on the invincible side of it and we focus more on getting game time to the guys that we see a future at the club.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't want too much rotation because I do what I said to Iain there about keeping momentum. You can't rotate 5-6 positions every week and then expect a group of players to keep momentum. So I think we do need to make sure we strike that balance because I do want to win the Scottish Cup, but we'll not win the Scottish Cup just by turning up. Like any team that plays us, like this is if we get past Celtic, any team that plays us, it's a cup final already. Add in the chance that they can go and win a cup, and then teams are really going to turn up to make it hard for Rangers, and rightly so. So I just want to make sure that we keep that level of freshness and keep the wheels turning at the same time. So Iain, give me your prediction for your front three, who you would start against Hibs then. I think for me, Morelos and Kent will be in all times, but is there an argument that Scott Wright could potentially be in, or do you think somebody else will come in?
Yeah, I think after his performance the other night, you can definitely make an argument for Wright, but I think it'll probably be Roof who plays there. Roof also had a very good performance, getting 2 goals. So for me, I think it'll probably end up being Roof, and as you say, Morelos and Kent will come back in. So that would be my 3.
I think at this point, and this is what I noticed yesterday as well, although there was like wholesale changes for the game against Cove Rangers, we've got a good enough squad where I'm not really any realistic options. I'm not going to be too upset with whether it's like Aribo or Roof or even Hadji out in the right, or if it is Scott Wright. I think that's the biggest testament to this squad, that although we said it time and time again, although I've got preferences who I'd want in each position, you're never really disappointed with who's starting and who's dropped.
I think the only thing is Balogun being at right back is probably the one thing that I'm not mega keen on. I think he's had a couple of poor performances there. So when I see that's the one thing that kind of that I think Hibs could like you say, if it turns out Patterson's going to be banned, I reckon that'll be Hibs' plan might be to maybe get somebody like Martin Boyle out on the left to get at Balogun. Certainly, it'd be my plan if I was Jack Ross. I'd be targeting Balogun. I think that's if he's at right back, it's definitely a weak link. And
that's where you probably expect Arfield to be slotting in the midfield. Then I think because we missed that with Jack being injured, and it's looking like that's got to be quite a while, at least into the late this season. With Arfield going off form, he wasn't playing much, and we were exposed to right back. So I think that'll potentially how we try and counteract that.
I think kind of what I touched on earlier. It's the part where we've got so many different players that can play against so many different teams and formations. You look at Hibs, you've got that Gogic in the middle of the park. So look, we're going to need somebody like Garfield, somebody with a bit of mail. You look at the fullbacks, potentially McGinn, Doig. Yeah, he's a young player, but we maybe want to go a bit more expansive on the wings rather than these 2 10s, and that's potentially where when we talked about earlier on, you might see a right in Kent. That is one of those games you could potentially see that. And at the same time, obviously on either side Morelos, but at the same time you could very well see Morelos getting Roof, which is probably the most likely. Roof is so good with the ball at his feet. You're looking at him turning somebody like McGinn inside out, let's face it. But again, it's great to be able to discuss and talk about who's going to play where, because we're so used to potentially over the last decade, we know what we're going to play. But it's lovely having different players who can play in different positions against different teams, in different formations, and different types of players. And that's the best part of being a Rangers fan right now. It's fucking marvellous.
Agreed. So, before we wrap up, don't know if anybody's seen it, but we actually have a giveaway on the go. So one lucky Gallant Few listener has a chance to win a free Champions top that the club have released to celebrate 55. Generously donated by our sponsors, Triple H Mortgages. All you have to do to enter the draw is contact Triple H Mortgages for a free life insurance review. So I need to stress there's no obligation to take out the cover whether you have life insurance or not. Even if you phone Craig and just say, like, give me the monetary value, then hang up. As long as you quote the Gallant Few, you'll be entered into the draw. So details how to contact Triple H Mortgages and enter the draw are on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Before we finish up, boys, are we doing a Twitter party of the week? Do you have it?
I think for me, I've got to always go back to, no matter the fake story, when you follow the link and it takes you to the bad Celtic hygiene, can I just say it gets me every single time. I think today there was one from the fake Super Scoreboard account that we all love about Roy Hodgson leaving Crystal Palace and them ready to steal Eddie Howe at 11th hour for Celtic. Click on the link and it's boom. Please don't come to Celtic Park with your BO or whatever. Bad hygiene gets me every time. You know before you click on that link what it is. You still click on it. You still laugh. Wonderful.
It really is. And I'm the same. I absolutely know what I'm going to see when I click on it, but I still chuckle. Maybe that says more about me than anything else, but I do enjoy it. Iain, do you have anything for us this week?
No, I don't have anything. All I would like to do is say a big congratulations to our fellow podcaster Craig McCreadie and his new wife Ailey, who were married on Saturday past. So just a big congratulations to Craig and Ailey.
Yeah, I echo that as well, Iain. Lovely news for the happy couple. For every bit of good news, there's a bit of bad news. I'm the fucking idiot that put up a lovely, nice Instagram post and tagged the wrong Ailey. So apologies. I've not seen too much this week in way of Twitter, but there's something I found it funnier than I should have. It was just after Sunday, another clean sheet for John McLaughlin. Somebody tweeted, if John McLaughlin farts in bed, he changes the sheets. He loves clean sheets that much. It's funny because it's true. All that's left to do for this week is thank my two guests. First of all, the returning Iain McCreadie.
Thanks for having us.
And a solid debut in the the weekly roundup, Graham Campbell.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you to everyone who's listening. Take care.